Hi, I'm Alex Paulton. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Talking Timepieces, where we talk about watch collecting and horology. Today, we're just going to talk about a few reasons why you should own a pocket watch. So let's get the camera turned around and start. But before I do, please remember to subscribe. It's quite important to the channel. Thanks. So let's take a close-up look at some pocket watches and talk about some of the reasons to own one. So here is my pocket watch collection. It's not very comprehensive, but it has a couple of nice pieces. And we'll use each one of them as an example, a different example of reasons that you should own at least one pocket watch. Now, the first reason would be just to simply have a nice watch that you can stick in your pocket and carry around. I mean, some people still think a watch with hands is an elegant presentation, and just simply carrying around a nice pocket watch is a way to do it when you're wearing, say, for example, a smartwatch or a Fitbit or something along those lines. You could wear a pocket watch in your pocket and your wrists can carry your modern accoutrement. All right. Another reason to have a pocket watch is just to enjoy interesting watch presentations and complications in a cost-effective price point. Like, for example, this Omega small seconds heat blued hands watch from the 30s has a really beautiful patina in its face. The heat blued hands are still crisp and blue, and the small seconds just gives it a very traditional presentation on this old Omega. Right? Another aspect of older watches with beautiful complications is this 8-day watch, and it has a Breguet 8-day mechanism. So there's almost certainly a constant force mechanism like a remontoire in there. But it's just beautiful, that medallion on the back of the huge spring case, the housing for the spring. It's a massive housing. And you can even wind the watch by pushing against the housing for the mainspring. But just a really beautiful presentation on a really interesting antique piece. And I like the presentation of the 24-hour time, which even back then was important to some people. And just the interesting green, the way those green indices pop. And then, of course, the beautiful old balance wheel in there ticking away. So really perfect example of interesting complications, interesting presentations at interesting price points. Now, also, for example, this is a modern gift pocket watch. I got this from my lady friend, and you have to push down on the crown and it releases the nicely decorated, I mean, it's a machine decorated watch. This is only a few $100s of a modern mechanical pocket watch, but as you see, it is machine decorated, but it's still pretty. It has blued screws. You open works. You can see the mainspring and the functions. It's a good way to see how a watch works, and it's a pretty presentation. You're wearing a suit. You stick this in the watch pocket if you have one. This is also a dual time zone watch, so it's not a bad modern gift pocket watch. Right? Now, this is a piece of history. This is a military pocket watch, and it has an outer case. Come on. Nice engraving, was never initialed. And the Kinzel Company made watches for the military. They were around for a while after World War II, but they kind of got a little bit of a tarnished reputation. Some companies managed to make it through that period of time differently than others. Let's see if we can get this back off easily. You have to be very careful when you're doing things, because if you miss, you could scratch the watch. So you have to be very careful when you do that kind of thing. On some of these watches, you'll see there's a lot of scratches from previous owners. If you notice, this watch has no jewels. See, so this is a military watch designed for ruggedness, and it's designed to take a licking and keep on ticking. And the reason I made that reference to Timex is because the old school Timexes also didn't have jewels. They were they were built to be robust. They weren't meant to be serviced. I mean, you could service an antique Timex, but they were not designed for such. They were basically made as throw them away when they weren't functioning properly. But in this case, this was meant to be serviced, but it is a jewel-less watch. Let's line that back up. And, whoops, line it back up a little bit, and there we go. Now, another reason to own a watch is for memories. This beautiful beautiful American Waltham railroad watch from the late 1800s is it's not solid gold, it's gold layered. This one can even be opened by hand. And it explains here on the interior how they made it. It's basically gold layered with the base metal, so it's guaranteed to not wear off for a significantly extended period of time. All right, and it has quite the pretty movement inside. And it's a functional piece. And this belongs to my friend Barry, who got it from his, believe father, could be his grandfather's piece. But again, this is a piece that's been in the family. He's going to keep it in the family. And it's a beautiful piece of history, horological history, social history. You know, the importance of railroad timing was critical to prevent accidents. And this is one of the few companies that's known for the quality of their railroad watches. The most famous of the railroad watches was Ball, and Ball was also the first railroad timekeeping chief. And Hamilton also made some really nice railway pieces. I mean, there were other companies who also did it, but the triumvirate of railroad watches, I would say, off the top of my head, would be Hamilton, Ball, and American Waltham. The name Waltham used to really mean something. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean as much today. Beautiful chain, and oh, look at that beautiful little jeweled fob on the end. It was really designed as a presentation watch to be worn well, let's put it that way. And, you know, some simple elegance like this can kind of show up the cheap, fake luxury of something like that, you know. They're both nice pieces. One's vintage, one's modern. This watch is probably worth about $1,500 in its current state. It could be worth more, but it's worth at least that because of both its history and its construction. Now, this actually isn't a watch at all. I just tossed it in for a joke. It is a pedometer. See, so it's got a little shake weight inside, and sometimes I wear it to say, well, you know, your watch may be able to track steps, but I can do that with this. Ha ha. But see, beautiful. And this is also from like the 20s, 30s. It's interesting to remember that the 20s and the 30s are the 20s are definitely 100 years ago, you know, and a beautiful old antique erotic piece of this nature. This watch is from the late 20s, early 30s, almost 100 years old. You know, it's interesting to think about how, you know, it's a long time ago, but it's still relatively modern times as we move farther forward in time, obviously. But this beautiful erotic piece has been making people chuckle for almost 100 years. And it's a beautiful old Tissot movement. And I just recently had it serviced, so it's going to be entertaining people for quite some time. So, pocket watches, a really cool way to enjoy horology, and a fun way to play with watches. Let's turn the camera around and close out the episode. So, that's a bunch of reasons to own a pocket watch. They're a fun and cool way to enjoy horology, and they can be very interesting to own. Thanks for taking the time to watch. I really appreciate it. And please subscribe.